Hello everyone, welcome along to TGP1 Season 30. We are back for a brand new season, a 22 round season this time. We'll be starting Australia and Bahrain tonight and going all the way through to Europe and Abu Dhabi in December the 11th. The bonus race this year will be at France, so 2 trips at the Paul Ricard circuit. Looking forward to that one. Hockenheim also a returning venue for the league, so exciting season ahead. A few driver changes, a few new promotions as well from TGP2, and I'm delighted to say that I'm joined by former 2-time champion Jonas. How are you, Jonas? Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me along. It's good to be here, commentating tonight rather than being on the racetrack. Decided to have a little break from the league and join you alongside in the commentary box.
Gotta say, it is a bit weird seeing you alongside me rather than on the grid, but I'm sure you'll be missed out there. But you will be well and truly adored in here, Jonas, in the commentary box. So new season, we got of course Softy, former 2-time champion himself. We've got VSR Josh, who joins the league with a few people thinking he might be the man to beat. Matt, of course, did very well last season in his debut attempt. LMC Josh, another one to look out for. Of course, we've got Bothy Dweller, new, unexpected. Jake's back this time for a full season. But who is your money on, Jonas, as we go into this new season?
I've got to say it's definitely down between 2 from what I've seen in pre-season with last week's test races. VSR Josh, I'd have to say, is the favourite, although at the moment here in Australia, Softcop really putting his claim to the title here already with a very, very quick first run time of a 1:19.765. He's almost half a second clear of VSR Josh in the Haas, as they are both just starting their second runs. Softy with a 26.4 in the first sector, and that is matched by VSR Josh. Both cars currently on a flying lap, and now in the middle sector, both on the ultra soft tyre and both pushing hard. We've got yellow flags out in sector 1, it seems, but it might just be where some guys are just going on outlap, staying out of the way of other cars. Looks like it was for Paul McGuinness in P4, who was just letting cars go as he starts his outlap. Meanwhile, in sector 2, into sector 3 now, Softcop and VSR Josh. It's almost like a shootout qualifying here. Softy coming in towards the second last corner now. A tight left hand, a very easily run wide in the exit message lap. He's got through there nicely. Takes a wide line into the last corner, just avoids the inside curve. Gets on the DRS so that he's run out of deployment just before the line though, and he does improve to a 1:19.580 as we look behind at PSR Josh. Come to the line now. Again, he's also running out of deployment before the line at 1:19.712. So he's pulled. What was a half-second lead, now 1 and a bit temps, but Softcop still the man to beat so far. Meanwhile, we've got Matt also on the lap of the Williams, P3. He was very, very strong last season in his rookie season in TGP1. Won a handful of races, and he will be looking to have a solid season as he approaches the last few corners now. And as he comes towards the last few corners now, into the left yet again, he also takes it nicely. A little bit of wheel spin on the exit, runs a little wide, almost on the grass as he enters the last corner, and he goes onto the DRS down towards the line. Looks like he's going to be a little way off the 2 in front, but he does do a sub 80-second lap of a 1:19.966, and is within 4 temps of Softy on pole.
Right then, that's 3 drivers into the 1:19s. LMC Josh in 4th. Paul also tipped him to do well this season. Of course, he made his debut attempt last season. He this season is alongside another Josh. There are 3 Joshes in TGP1 this season. So the best way we're going to cover this is by calling them by the names you see on the screen. So LMC Josh here in 4th, VSR Josh here in 2nd, and then the other Josh, a little easier, is called Goings on here. So we'll just call him by Goings. But
yeah,
Softy then. Oh, carry on, Jonas, carry on.
Unfortunate for the third Josh Goings, he has crashed out of the session his first qualifying run. He got it wrong on the start of sector 3, the quick left right, and he just ran a little wide, spun it round and into the wall he went, and that was the end of his session. A familiar name who also almost fell for the same fate was Phil Bargewell in P8 at the moment. He also got it wrong, spun into the wall, but luckily for him, he just had a little bit of front wing damage and was able to continue back to the pits. As we see now, most cars are returning to the pit lane at the end of their second run. An 18-minute qualifying session this season as opposed to the F1 2017's 12 minutes, so more runs for everyone, and I think you'd see a lot of quick times coming in the last few moments here, as I think we've just got a small handful of cars on the track at the moment. I believe Martin in P9 is the only one really on the lap as he's coming towards the end of it now, as he approaches the last couple of corners again. And you'll notice a lot of cars are putting right to the edge of the track before they turn into the final corner, just to get a quick exit to straighten the car up very quickly, as Martin, well, he drops to P9 actually, as I believe Jack Pearson in the Renault teammate to Soft has just gone P6 with a 1:20.664. He's actually done the exact same lap as Paul McGuinness in P7, but rather than real life where Paul set the lap first, it seems like Jack has been given P6 over Paul, who's currently in the pit lane.
Well, last season, TGB2, the top 3 were all promoted. Bot Dude finished as champion. He's currently in 5th position, so good to see him so high up already and is back in TGB1 after a 4th-season absence. Jack Pearson was 2nd last season. He's currently in 6th, so also the TGB2 noise are impressing. And Goings was the 3rd promotee. He is down in 16th. As John said, he crashed earlier on in qualifying. So it's good to see TGB2 already settling in. Let's see how they get on in the race. But first, let's go through some of the team changes that we've got this season. So Ferrari is now made up of Dan the Man and James O'Connor. 2 heavyweights of TGP in there. 8 titles between them. Sorry, 9 titles between them. Or is it 10 titles, Johners? I don't know how many titles they've got.
I believe 10 Dan titles. Has won 4 titles, and James has won 6. James most recently winning his 6th title back on F1 2016 with a brilliant season. He's also very consistent. He would probably admit himself he's not got that ultimate one-lap pace, but he's very, very good at staying out of trouble and being very strong and consistent. He's got a number of podiums last season that way, by just staying out of trouble and just minding his own business and picking up pieces from others' mistakes. James is currently P6, so he's actually done a pretty decent lap, while Dan is all the way down at P12 in the pit lane, but he will surely be going back out on track soon and be aiming to better that position.
Yeah, so Dan the Man, of course, now with James. Dan's actually had 58 TGB1 race wins, which is just 1 victory in the last 12 seasons though, so all his success was in the start of the league. In recent times he's not had as he had in the first. Other team changes. Renault this season is Softy and Jack. It's a 3rd time they've actually been together, fully enough, in the TGB history. So those 2 back together again, once again. Paul is joined by Aiden at Alfa Romeo Sauber. So those 2 should be tightly matched. 2 Scots there in the same team. Jake Davis is back. He's joined by Mike Noon, who couldn't make it tonight. They'll be at McLaren. Martin and Owen back together at Force India. Matt and Phil together at Williams. Jamie Day and Ludwig at Mercedes. And then the 2 Joshes of Williams and Goings at Toro Rosso. And finally, Josh Fletcher, who we know as VSR Josh, will be partnering Cameron Hall, who is called, where is he on this? Bothy Dweller, I think, is PSN is. Those 2 are together at Haas. So looking at the constructors, John, as Jake bins it already. Is that a crash or is that a retirement? I'm not sure.
I believe that's it. I'm not too sure. I didn't manage to catch it. I believe it might just be a retirement there. Maybe he's thought his session's done.
I was actually everyone's in the pits at the moment, apart from Phil, and I saw Red Bull just leaving the track. Verdi, I think, also now on the track. But constructors-wise, are we looking at going to be a battle between Renault and maybe Haas, do you think?
You'd believe that would be the case with the 2 title favourites being in their respective teams. It could come down to who's the strongest teammate, as it were, a bit similar to Hamilton and Vettel in real life, who's stronger than Bottas and Raikkonen. But you'd have to say, going by this, if we were just to base it on race 1, you could probably say Renault were the favourites, with Jack in the top 10 in P9, Softy on pole, while VSR Josh is 2nd, and Bothy Dweller is down in P14, although Bothy Dweller did disconnect and rejoin, so he's not had a fair crack of the whip, so to say. As
well,
Paul and Verdi have now retired from session, or, well, Ludwig in P8, Paul in P10.
Looks like we are going to see then a battle between Softy and VSR Josh for pole position. I'm a bit surprised, to be honest. Josh was the pre-season favourite. Softy said he was too quick for him, but here he is, currently 2 tenths ahead. with 1 minute and 43 seconds to go. So I believe Softy now is about to start his final lap. Josh about halfway through the circuit. Matt is in the pit lane, so he will not be setting a final run. So it looks to be a battle between the top two. And Softy starts his lap. Johners, over to you.
Right then, so Softy into turn 1, takes it with 5th gear, runs a little wider than exit through second turn onto the DRS straight. That'll take him all the way down towards turn 3, a tight right-hander, which he pretty much nails there. Nice on the apex, nice easy exit. As he gets to turn 5, you've got to be careful of the AstroTurf, and the little sausage curve on the exit there, he's spinning off. Softy, he's in the wall.
It.
That's a big accident. He's got wide on the AstroTurf on the end of turn 6. It's actually, from my perspective, it actually looked like lifted the car up in the air a bit as he's then spun off into the wall. That's a pretty big accident for our poleman. Yellow flags out in all 3 sectors at the moment as it now clears out for sector 1 and 2, but that's a big incident for the poleman. Meanwhile, here's our Josh, who is now up in the corner where Softy's just crashed as he approaches now. He will still be on for a final lap as he sets a 26.4 in sector 1. Again, I think that was very similar to his last run as he enters the middle sector, coming up towards the right-hander here now. I lose track of the numbers after this point, to be fair. But he takes it nicely there, gets onto the back straight, so to say, as he gets towards the end of sector 2. He'll be looking to stake this pole now with Softy out of the denture for the moment as he gets through the left, right, middle. Start at sector 3 onto the DRS, a third DRS zone here in Australia, unlike previous seasons where it's just the 2, as he runs a bit wide there, maybe a little lock up as he now goes through the third last corner in 5th gear, just uses all the track that's available to him, gets into the second last corner, maybe a little bit wide there as he comes towards the last corner now, and he runs, just uses up all the track, gets into the DRS, down towards the line. Is it pole? Yes,
it is.
Takes it by just over 2 tenths, 119.3. The opportunity presented itself there with Softy crashing out of the session, and he duly took it with both hands. The top 4 all finished for second. VSR Josh and Paul. Softy out of the session, of course. Matt, I don't think made the line in time. He's in P3. NFC Josh P4. Jake is out in P5. Bartels just crossed the line at P6. Fields back in the pit lane P7. Then it's James, Ludwig, Jack in P10, Paul in P11, then we've got Martin up last corner now in P12. Can he improve? He's run very wide at the exit there, he's almost in the wall. Dan has retired for 13th, Martin crosses the line, he will not improve there, and that is the end of qualifying for the Australian Grand Prix.
VSR Josh then will take first blood. He's going to start on pole position for the Australian Grand Prix. He edged Softy, who did the pressure get to him there. He lost it on the final run and will start this race in second. And will he be feeling nervous now? He's got to get ahead of Josh into turn 1 surely. But strategy, long race. Interesting to see how that goes. All the runners did qualify on the ultra soft tyres, it looks like. Goings, of course, the only one to set without setting a time. So Matt's in 3rd, Josh 4th, Jake 5th. Aidan will qualify 6th. That's a great qualify from him, coming up from TGB2. Ahead of Phil in 7th. James is only 8th. The former 6-time champion Bairdy, his debut is in 9th. And Jack Pearson is completing the first 5 rows. So then, what a race we have in prospect. Johners, it's between Josh and Softy,
yes,
surely.
Indeed. Look how close that midfield is. Though 5th to I think it was 12th, we're separate by just 2 tenths of a second there. With just tiny little margins that can really make a difference. Just getting the DRS open at the perfect moment. Maybe as it activates, maybe someone possibly just left it a few metres before realising activating. That could cost them 3 or 4 positions in that midfield. It's that close. Tiny margins, just that little bit of fuel, that little mistake on the curb, and it can really just cost you so many positions here as we now prepare for the race.
Well, there have been 18 different winners of the past 29 Australian Grand Prix. Only 5 drivers have won this track more than once. Dan, James, Ben, John and Roy. So you're a multiple winner, John, here. You're only one of 5 drivers who've done that. Well done.
Yeah, I think both times I had to, if I can remember correctly, I think I had to come from behind to take the win in the pit stops against Sir Lane. I think back on F1 2014, nice. He was very strong in the circuit here, but both times managed to get the upper hand. And I think it was the first ever race I had here. I lost by half a tenth to Roy as the lights are now up. 5 lights, revs rise. And away we go for the new season of TGP1. It looks like a good start there by VSR Josh. Softy as a long, like looking into the slip, into the tucking in, as we got contact. Maybe no, not quite. There is some contact in the midfield though, as well. I thought it might have been VSR Josh a second, but it's definitely VSR Josh in the lead, with the other Josh, NMC, trying to go round the outside of Softy to turn 3. That's not really going to work.
Oh.
Softy
needs to keep it careful.
He has to be careful there. NMC Josh bounced all over the curves, loses third place than that. We did have some major contact towards the back of the field. There's definitely damage for some cars. I couldn't see who it was. There was a Ferrari caught up in it as Paul and Birdie have come together. Birdie is facing the wrong way and he has dropped to the back of the field. We also have Ash Dawson of Toro Rosso who's joined into the race. He's managed to get in time after joining in qualifying, as VHR Josh is already starting to streak away from the rest of the field.
Well, what a start that was. Didn't see too much contact, but it looks like Paul and Betty have been involved in an incident further down. Softy looks like the timing has fixed itself. He's now in second position then. So the top two are as they were. Matt's into third.
Oh,
just ahead of
crash.
Josh.
Big crash. Cummings out of the race.
Cummings is out of the race already.
Same corner as qualifying. I think Phil as well has also had a moment. He plummeted down the field by a few positions. But Goings out of the race, and Birdie has also gone on the wall. Ludwig is in the wall up the following corner. It looks like he's got straight in there. That's a hard impact.
So
That's
2 laps down, and already 2 retirements. As we start the second lap, as we look now as Phil prepares to make a move on Owen down in 11th. A horrible start for him. But it looks like he's got a chance here. Owen's a bit wide there. He covers the inside side now. Phil side by side, the two of them getting very close. Of course, good friends from TGB Cars, both fighting for the title last season, but here they are back in TGB1. Phil normally ahead of Owen, but Owen is not letting the Williams driver through as things stand. They're getting very close here. Dan just ahead of the pair of them. Phil now will have another chance. Needs to keep it careful though. A long way to go in this race. Phil bides his time and for now stays in 11th, but he will be quicker than the Force India. He knows he's quicker than the Force India. So he will wait for his move as Verdi has left the session. As I said, 2 drivers out on the first lap. Goings lost it. Verdi completely separate incidents, but not the start to their season. As we look now a little further up, I think Josh is about to make a move on Matt for third. We're just about to see if Phil can get past Owen here. He's got a very good chance. If he can get it right, he goes to the inside and he will go through ahead of the Force India. And mine's out the race. What's happened there? Have you seen anything, Jonas?
I think he's also done what Goings did in the previous lap and gone straight off in the wall. It's very, very easy to just run a little wide up that end of that left-right chicane and just have yourself a silly accident into your race. I think Phil might have done the same thing on lap 1 actually and lost on a number of positions that led to him being where he is. And Owen is struggling heavily. I think he may have been caught up in the contact at turn 1 on lap 1. There was some noticeable wing damage as Phil now side by side with Dan for P9. He goes around the outside into turn 1. Dan is ceding the position, not going to make any silly contact on the opening few laps of the new season as Demon Ash pits, I think, for a tyre change. I don't know if there was any damage that he might have picked up. I know Boffy Dredder also pitted at the end of that one for damage, so he's far adrift of the field in P14 now with the soft tyres. But meanwhile, towards the front, Softy has not let VSR Josh get away. They're still within a second.
He is. He's 1 second behind. We're going to see pit stops around lap 4 or 5. They'll be going on to the, I think, is it the super soft tyres, John?
Yes, the super soft tyres, obviously free tyre compounds available each race weekend, and for Australia it's the ultra soft, super soft and soft tyres. A couple of guys at the back have gone for the soft after their early dramas. We do have a couple of cars in the field on super softs, which is Dan and Paul, who qualified just outside the top 10. Currently, yeah, the DRS obviously is available this lap, and Softy is within DRS, I believe, as the rear wing opens up, and he will...
I think Josh has just pitted from 4th. I think Josh has just come in for Red Bull. He's making the early call. Will he go then onto the super soft tyres? He will go onto the super soft tyres, but where will he feed back into? Will he come out behind all the traffic? Because there's a lot of cars in battles here. He needs to come out into clean air, and if he can get a good outlap done, he could go ahead of Matt, Softy, and maybe even Josh. The gap was 2 seconds, I think.
He's definitely going to get clear air, and the next car is Demon Ash, who's in the middle of the last sector at the moment. He is on the super soft tyre as Paul and Owen are side by side into turn 3. I think Owen definitely struggling now with the damage to his car as Paul looks up to the inside. He's going to go around the outside into turn 5. That's a brave place to try and make a move there. He backs out of it.
I think Paul thought better of that one.
Now, obviously, there are numerous incidents there in the last few years, and Kibitz and Vert won 2 cars in the line, trying to go on the outside, and well, that was into turn 3, but both of them met the wall at turn 5 as well. As Paul, I'd have to say, is getting held up. The incident he had with Birdie in the first half is definitely costing a lot of position, a lot of time as he sits down in 11th place. Meanwhile, Phil is, well, he's making progress a little bit. He's up to 8th as Jack just almost running wide off into the wall at 10.
Oh, this is a good chance for Paul. He's on the outside now of Owen. Surely this is his chance to get through. Will the Force India brake late? He does, but they somehow don't make contact. I thought Owen was going to go straight into the back of Paul. I think it was the camera angle. But Paul's through. He's into 10th, and now he can start chasing down Dan, Phil, and Jack ahead. He should be higher up. Unlucky at the start to get stuck behind Birdie, but will we see anyone come into from the pits? Jack and Phil are both in. Johners.
It's going to be a race to the pit stops then. Phil being further down than Jack. It's, oh no, actually, I'm getting myself wrong. I just remember Williams were last this year. They weren't last year though. Both coming in together, and I think both stay in position. Jack ahead of Phil, but they are both comfortably behind Adams and Josh, who obviously was ahead before the pit stops. Both onto the super soft tyre, both in relative to clear air, and comfortably ahead of Bottom Dweller, who is just got ahead of Ash, Demon Ash, I believe. I think Ash might have damaged his covers and he's steering a lot as towards the front of the field. There's an interesting scrap for 4th. Jake is, well, he's struggling for tyres. There's a lot of wheels been coming out of that corner there, and Aiden Buttu now on the back of him towards the end of sector 2. We're going into the left right again. It's already caught a few people out this race. Let's see if it catches anyone else out. Seemingly not. They're both through cleanly through there, as I think there was an incident. I believe Demon Ash down in 14th lost his front wing, but we'll carry on with the scrap for 4th. It could come down to pit stops. Aiden definitely looking better on his tyres than Jake, sorry, he was seriously struggling with those.
Josh is pitted, Softy pitted as well. The 2 leaders are in. Will these guys come in? Jake does, so Aiden will use the opportunity to stay out. So what can Softy and Josh do in the pit lane? Will we see a jump here? It's happened before. Softy comes in and he's a quick pit stop. The Renault boys are doing their work. Both drivers going on to the super soft tyres. There's some tyres floating in the air there.
Been held up.
Oh, Softy's been held up massively.
I think they both got held up there by cars coming in the pit. I can tell you Jake got a 5-second penalty there for speeding in the pit lane, and Aiden, the only one in the top 6 not to pit there, so he now has the lead ahead of Dan the Man and Paul in P3. DSL Josh has come out in 4th position, Softcop in 5th. And then see Josh has jumped Matt for what will be in P3, Matt in what will be P4, and Jake in P8 with a 5-second penalty, so that might put him behind James, who's P9, and Jack in P10, who obviously will be jumping up a few positions up the top through pit, who have yet to. Everyone bar Bothy Dweller and Demon Ash has elected the super soft tyres for this stint, as DSR Joshua will be on the back of Paul, who is looking like he's struggling with his super softs already. Tyre wear really is catching a lot of people out in this early stage of the season. We've seen a few cars really struggle as DSR Josh looks to be lining up an overtake into this high speed chicane.
Oh, there's a crash ahead, and it's Dan. Dan's out of the race. Dan's binned it. Huge moment for Dan. He's won the most races here. 4 times he's won here in the past, but his luck in the PS4 era has continued once again. He finds himself without yet another chance of victory, as here we go. Josh is all over Paul. Paul's making it difficult for him. And will he stay out? He does stay out, so this is going to get tasty. Softy's going to be right behind the pair of them in a moment. This is surely Josh's chance to get past Paul now. Paul defends the inside, but with DRS and the slipstream, won't be hard for Josh as he goes through, and Paul slots in behind.
Yeah, Josh taking the lead as Aiden pits. Paul is going to have to stay out for a few laps because of the tyres call. He's probably going to want to get onto the ultra softs, do the alternate strategy, but he's struggling so much tyre wear already, and he couldn't pit that lap because his teammate had come in. And Aiden has come out in P7 just behind Jake. He's actually coming in a little gap between Jake and James, who's held off Jack having come out the pit and keeps P8. Softy will need to get past Paul very quickly though. He's lost quite a bit of time in the pits, I'd have to say. He was about a second before the start, so that's definitely no longer a second, I can tell you.
Well, Paul and Aiden have both won here in the past in TGB2. Both are winners here. Paul knows what it's like to be at the top in Australia, not at the same stats in TGB1, as he doesn't make it hard for Softy. Softy goes through. An easier place there for Paul to let him go through, I think. And Josh will be coming up to Paul anytime soon. But now Softy can start chasing down Josh again. The gap is less than 2 seconds. And we're only now getting to half race distance. Phil Bardwell then, after his first motor, I think we got to see a pass there. Who was that? It's Matt all over Josh. So Matt's caught up straight away. Of course, Josh did the undercut in the pit stops. But Matt now all over the Red Bull driver. I was going to say that Phil was about to make a move on Jack as well, I think. The gap's 0.5 of a second, so I'll cut to that in a moment. As Josh sets the fastest lap and pulls now 1.9 seconds clear of Softy. Matt can't get close enough here. Does Josh have DRS from Paul in front of him? Oh, Matt's very close now.
Yeah, I get the feeling Josh is having a look after the tyres. The early stop obviously meaning he's going to have a lot more wear on the tyres as Matt goes around the outside into turn 3. That's a brave one. He's going to try and stick with it, but Josh just about manages to close the door and then keep the position. But it's not going to help his tyre life at all. He needs to look after tyres, but at the same time, they're fighting for the podium and he wants as many points as he can. And obviously, a daily podium is a dream result, you could say, as they are closing towards the back. Well, I say they were closing towards the back of Paul. Paul's actually pulling away because of their scrap. Even though Paul...
Oh, they've made contact!
Oh, he's done very well to keep out the wall there, MMC Josh, with Matt doing the right thing and giving the position back. That's cost him a lot of time and allowed Jake to close back in. Phil's got a 3-second penalty, multiple warnings. I don't even have a guess what those warnings are for. The fight for what was technically a podium is still on, as Matt has another look now onto the inside at the end of the DRS. He far outbreaks his rival. This is brilliant. And gets the move done. Brilliant move, but it's not over yet, you'd have to say, because of the DRS that's going to come up on the main straight here.
So it looks like there's no contact, no damage there to Josh's car after that incident, which is good to see. He's going to have DRS again on Matt, so he should close in, but I think he's a bit too far back to try and move into turn 1, maybe the second DRS zone. Of course, there's 3 DRS zones here now, so you can't get him here, or the second. There is the third chance later on the lap. Matt's teammate Phil down in 9th now. He, of course, has, well, I think he's had 4 podiums here from the last 5 races, so normally he does quite well here, but unfortunately he's not been on the right side of the look this weekend, and he's currently down in P9 and behind Jack. He's actually 6 tenths behind now, so I will flick to that in a moment. Looks like Matt has got the edge now over Josh, but they're now 6 seconds behind the front too. And Softy's now 3 seconds behind Josh. It looks like Josh has got this one covered maybe at the front, and now here we go. Phil on Jack for 8th. Phil a bit naughty there with the grass cutting. Needs to keep with Jack, needs to get ahead if he can. Already James is 2.5 seconds clear of Jack. So with laps running out, Phil needs to get a good haul of points here. It's the opening round of the season. A good chance for the constructors as well.
Yeah, it's worth pointing out Phil with that 3-second penalty. And Jack, as it stands, is 5.9 behind Jake, who's got a 5-second penalty for a speeding in the pit lane. So they need to pick it up a little bit, or hope that the fight for third just keeps going. I can tell you, Matt, now that he's overtaken, has started to put away the gap. He's just about a second. I think he might just be out of DRS zone there.
Yeah, that's bad news for Josh, because Jake behind is in DRS zone, and Jake now can get a move on Josh, but he's lost a bit of time actually in the final corner. So maybe he is safe.
Did get DRS just about, so the activation point, detection point a little further back has saved him. Meanwhile, keep an eye on Aiden in P6. He has pitted a few laps ago. He's not too far adrift, just ahead of James in P7. Then we've got Jack and Phil fighting for P8. As Jack now gets a penalty for corner cutting, so that is now back on for position, as they both got 3 seconds. Paul, who pitted on the last lap, is now in P10 ahead of Bottom Dweller. It's got Owen in 12th, he's lost time due to pitting due to fix his wing. And we've got Demon Ash on his own down in P13, a lap down. And then the 4 retirements, Dan the Man in the Ferrari, Martin in the Force India, Birdie in the Mercedes, and the Red Bull of Goings in the opening lap.
Well, Jake now is very close to Josh in front. It's down to 0.3 of a second. The McLaren driver needs to get through. Jake was struggling on this game. He hasn't played it at all, he says, in the 2 weeks that it's been out. Sorry, the 2 weeks that he's had the game. The yellow flag somewhere, so there's been an incident in sectors 1 and 2. But Jake goes through.
And it looks like it's Owen in the Force India. He's actually, oh my god, that's embarrassing. That is embarrassing. Oh dear. So he spun. I don't know if he's been hit by Buffy Duet or whatever, but he's facing the wrong way, and as he spun back round, his rear wheel has hit the wall at about 10 mile an hour and has broken the rear suspension.
Where about was it? Turn 1?
Now the fight for 4th. It was down at turn 5, but here we are, fight for 4th. Jake did get past Josh, but Josh back down the inside on the main straight, using all his ERS and DRS to get the move done and retake that 4th position. That's going to allow Aiden Bartdude in P6 to close in, and we've got James lurking not too far behind P7. Remember, Jake, 5-second penalty. It will drop him down the order. As it stands, he's looking at only finishing in 7th position as he runs wide there and loses time to Josh. That gives Josh a little breathing room, but he will still be in the DRS zone. so he will get called up very quickly. Meanwhile, Matt now on his own in P3. Softy keeping the gap to 2.5 seconds to VSR Josh in the lead, but VSR Josh looks to be in control right now as we continue with the fight for fourth.
Well, also, Phil is right on Jack's tail. The gap's now 0.6 of a second, so these are the two battles to watch. But Jake on Josh, we should be seeing a move soon. Jake is quicker. Maybe Josh did get damage from the incident with Matt earlier on, because he seems to be struggling now. And Jake now has the best chance so far. Up the inside, they make contact. They've made contact, but they're both fine. And Jake has the inside line and will go through into P4. Wow, that was a bit scary. John?
That was very scary. That easily could have gone wrong and had both out of the race there. You were just saying about possible damage. I was on board with Josh at the time of the incident, and he managed to keep the car out of the wall. I do believe it's just the tyres wearing out. He's on the oldest set of tyres out there on what is now, as they just like 8 lap old tyres to everyone else's 6. But it goes straight back through on the outside into before turn 1. With DRS really helping him here.
Jake and Josh
closing ever more as Phil passes Jack to P8. He's got him on the DRS into turn 1, and now Jack, well, he's sitting in the slipstream. Phil's got the inside covered as they run down towards turn 3. Jack's going to try and look really outside, maybe get the cut back on him. Phil blocks it off well, takes the position and keeps P8.
There's too much going on. I think Jake's about to make a move on Josh as well. Look at them, they're all so close. These battles here are brilliant.
Are definitely wearing. You can see it just spinning it up on the exit of that corner. As I think they're approaching the lap car of Ash Dawson there, who's down in P12. They're both siding around a fair bit here. Aiden,
they are
in P6 on fresher tyres. He's all closing quickly. He is closing in quickly. He could have them both here and take a P4.
Josh's tyres are 2 laps older than Jake's, and the two of them make contact again. Aiden gets the perfect view, and can he go around the pair of them? He's gone from 6th to 5th, and now into 4th. Brilliant stuff. And Aiden, round the outside. Can he keep it stick? No, Josh comes back at him. Wow.
He's got the move done.
2 for 1.
The opportunity came up there and ran the outside of them both. Beautifully done. That's one of the reasons he became a TGP2 champion last season. He can make the moves when he needs to. He can take the opportunities and just grab them. As we've got yellows in sector 3, I think we might have some issues behind with someone. Or it might
this is not the camera angle we want to see. Why are we seeing this camera angle? The 4 of them are so close going to turn 1. Jake and Josh still scrapping. Aiden ahead of them. This could go very wrong. It could go very right. Look at this. Josh back up the inside again. 3 wide.
Into turn 3.
And somehow
takes the move, Jake's going to have a look.
Josh is back ahead, but he goes wide again. Now Aiden and Jake are going to be side by side.
Jake's run wide.
This is brilliant. Ash Dawson, the back marker, started to join in. James on the inside of Jake. He's gone through now. This is brilliant. Wow, Johners, I mean, I don't know what to say. You carry on, you carry on.
Crazy stuff. As Josh hops onto 4th, we've got Aiden in the 5th now. James up to 6th. Jake all the way down in 7th. His tyres are starting to wear. And it's really cost him more than anyone because of his penalty. He's, well, Phil and Jack would jump him, but the saving grace for him actually is that they both got penalties. Because Josh is so slow out the corner again.
James lost it.
Moment and lost seat.
James had a scare there.
Outside again. And
Phil's out the race. Phil's out the race. Oh, this is brilliant. Josh and Aiden are getting so close. Sorry, John, I keep over in front from you. Josh is in 4th, Aiden 5th, Jake 6th, James 7th. The 4 of them are so close. This is brilliant. I think Ash Dawson is still also joined in with the fun. But wow, I don't know which one of these 4 to follow.
He might have to drop back soon because Jack on his own now in P8 will be closing in soon. And Ash will have to do the right thing here and stay out of it as Josh is wide out of turn 2 and Aiden's having a look. But at the same time, Jake's having a look at Aiden. And they're all side by side. They squeeze up. There's contact. Jake is off. That
Jake is off.
1 there. It's 3 into 1. I can't really put the blame on anyone there. He's come back out on the track in 8th behind Jack and his tyres are going to be very worn out. That's a huge shame. It was just 3 guys fighting to the absolute limit and they've just sort of squeezed into the same bit of road. You can't really put any blame on anyone there. You've got Josh on old tyres, Aiden trying to go for a move, Jake trying to go around the outside of them both. They've all just met in the middle there as now the fight for 4th continues. Aiden on the back of Josh.
This is crazy. I mean, 4's become 3. Jake's dropped off now. It's between these 2 and James, who should be just behind them. There he is. This is now another chance for Aiden, but Josh will just get him back again in the next DRS zone. This is crazy. The gap's there. Aiden, will he go around the outside? Surely not. The two of them side by side. Josh squeezes them wide, and now James can go in the middle of Aiden, sorry. The three of them, so tightly matched. Struggling to get past Josh.
Because he's got no grip left in those tyres. That Red Bull's tyres are done. He's struggling to even get around the corners here. But he's just a rolling roadblock. They just can't pass him. As Aiden has a run now, he's going to look to the outside towards turn 1 then, as we begin the final lap of the race. And Aiden does it. I believe he's done it, yeah. He's through on the outside into turn 1. He takes P4, and now James having a look, the 6-time champ, around the outside before turn 3. He's going to go for it. Josh is trying to stick it up the inside and keep the place, but he has to yield.
Well done, James.
Takes P5.
Well, in all that crazy.
Very, very nicely done.
In all that carnage, we're now on the final lap, so that's gone quick. Softy is 2 seconds away, so Josh will have this in the bag as he approaches now the final few corners. I think James could potentially get Aiden here in the second half of the lap. Looks like Josh has already started to drop back, so his tyres really are gone. Maybe the early pit stop wasn't the best decision, but he had to do something, I guess, to beat Matt, Softy and Josh. The risk didn't pay off. But Josh, around the final corner, he's going to win his first race in TGP1. A fantastic drive, a controlled drive. He goes from pole to win. Softy will be second. Matt will come home third. Whilst Aiden and James are still fighting for 4th and 5th. Jack's up to 6th now. Jake's back into 7th.
Josh has spun off up the left-right chicane, and he has dropped all the way down the field. He's down to P10. I think he's actually just doing some donuts now as we come out the last corner then. Aiden's got to hold on for P4 on his return to TGP1. James takes a good solid 5th place ahead of Jack, who will take P6. Jake does have a 5-second penalty, remember, so he will not be P6 like it says there for me. Paul's come across the line now in P8, and that is Boffy Dweller and LMC Josh to bring it home. Boffy Dweller takes 9th, Josh will be P10, and then P11 for Ash Dawson, the last finisher. TGP1 is back with a bang.
Well then, so that is 8 seasons in the PS4 era at Australia, and we've had 8 different winners. Josh joins the list of Matt, yourself, James, Flexi, Phil, Will and Jack. A fantastic drive, and I believe he is Brendan Lee, so we're seeing Brendan Lee, aka VSR Josh, lift the trophy. I'm sure we'll be seeing that face quite a bit more this season, but the perfect start then to the championship for him. Matt made the podium, got back ahead of Josh, who looked to have stolen the podium off him during the pit stops, but there's your first podium of the season. And wow, Johners, take us through the result. What a race.
So then we have VSR Josh coming home on his debut to win the race. 2 seconds clear of Soft Cop in second, with Matt taking the final podium spot 10 seconds down off the lead. We have Aiden in 4th on his return to TGP1, just ahead of James in 5th. We will have Jack Pearson in 6th once Jake's penalty is applied, as the game still makes that error. Jake is now 7th ahead of Paul. Boffy Dweller in 9th on his debut. LMC Josh, unfortunate at the end to drop down the field. He takes P10. And your final finisher, P11, a lap down, Demon Ash. Ahead of the list of retirees, Phil Bargewell in 12th, 13th Owen Quemby, 14th Dan the Man, 15th Northants, 16th Birdie, and Goings out on that one, P17.
Well, there's your first race of the season. We've got 21 more to come, so there's more of that on the way. Well then, a good list of retirements in that race. I was quite surprised. Normally it is, obviously, of course, it's the first season on the new game. Lots of new drivers haven't raced together before, so you do expect some sort of incidents, but a lot of them were separate incidents on their own, so quite surprising to see that. I think Goings, Birdie, Martin, Dan, Owen and Phil with a list of retirements, so 6 drivers in the first race. Not getting to the checkered flag, but I was going to say pick out your favourite moment of the race, but I think I know what it's going to be, Johners.
Yeah, it's got to be the fight. The fight for what was 4th in the end, wasn't it? Just
4th, yeah.
4 guys going on it, putting it all on the line there on such an early stage of season. Going 3 wide at times into some pretty tight corners. It is a bit of a shame there was a little bit of contact there which led to one going off the road, and then I think there was more contact to the last lap which befell Josh, or maybe he made a mistake. But that was some good hard racing and a good way to bring the lead back into the new game. Gotta say that exit of the, I think is it turn 10 or 11? The left-right?
Yeah.
That right-hander. So many people just putting a wheel on the AstroTurf or just running a bit wide onto the grass. And the way this new game is, it's so unforgivable for that it's so easy to do that and then just have your car just spear off into the wall and that be the end of your race. And I think that must have happened for most drivers tonight in that first race. We had Goings, we had Dan, we had Phil. They've all lost it there. Birdie went off at the following corner. It looks like after the incident with Paul where he got spun round. And then obviously Owen losing at turn 5. I don't know if there was contact with Boffy Turner perhaps as he was placed on the circuit, or if Owen's just lost it. That is another one of the corners where you can lose it. But yeah, it's very, very rare to see quite a few guys going off like the way they have. But that is why we have... This is what happens when the new game comes about. It does take a little time for everyone to learn the little nooks and crannies, so it were. And another one, which is one to watch out for here in Bahrain, is the end of Sector 2, the long right-hander before the second to last corner. It's very easy to put wheel on the curb and spin you off. It's almost akin to, say, F1 Championship Edition back on PS3 with that corner, where you just touch the curb and your car will just launch itself off the road. It will be another one to watch as we come to the second race of the evening.
Well, it is Bahrain. The very first TGP1 race back in Season 1 was at Bahrain back on the 15th of July 2011, I believe. I'll get that checked, but that was the first race, and that race, Dan the Man won from pole position, and he's still here 30 seasons on, 6 years later. 7 years later, wow, time has flew by. But Dan the Man, unfortunately, don't see him at the front anymore. He does have the most pole positions in TGP1, and it's by quite a margin as well. I think he's 30 clear of, I think you, John, is in second. Is that right?
I believe so. With that, for pole records, I think I am surprisingly second on the all-time list. I don't know
not bad,
how,
John, not bad.
That pace has been terrible for the last few seasons.
Well, this circuit then, 14 laps. Super soft, softs and mediums are the tyres here, as my statman Sayer Sports informs me. A few of the little quality stats here. 8 of the last 10 races have been won from pole position, so probably not the best advert going into this race, but whoever's going to qualify on pole has a pretty good chance of going on to take the win. Softy and Phil have had 2 pole positions here each on the PS4 era, so they'll both be ones to watch out for. James and Paul on the grid have also taken pole here in PS4, so we've had 4 different pole sitters in the last 6 seasons: Softy, Phil, James and Paul. And I think this one's going to be between Josh, Softy and maybe Matt. Oh, Matt's not here, I don't believe, John. James going to be between Softy and Josh?
Yeah, it's going to be between those two. I think they are your 2 main title threats this season. I do believe Matt this season isn't going to be able to make the second races of the night, which is a shame, so he'll only really be on a half-season schedules. Hopefully it will all change. We'll see him in both races per week, because he definitely could put up a title challenge if he gets to make both races. Here we are then in Bahrain, in the twilight skies, as qualifying begins.
Gotta say, I do like this circuit. It's not a circuit I've done well at in the past, but I do like it. I find it a fun, challenging track. There is another corner. I can't remember what the turn is. I think it might be turn 10 or turn 9. It's like a fast right-hander. You've got to get right on the brakes at the right time, or you're going to shoot well off and go off the circuit. But that's one circuit, that one corner that's always caught me out in this game, as we start to see cars now leading the track. I believe the Renault is going to be the first to the circuit. Sorry, the McLaren will be the first onto the circuit, so that will be Jake. Softy and Josh will follow him out as they get their first runs in. Of course, qualifying is now 18 minutes. Had been 12 minutes in recent seasons. That's got up to 18 now, so a bit more time for the drivers to set their laps. But this season, we do see the introduction of the ERS management system. Now, I think, John, you're probably better explaining about that, but is it a case of the drivers have one lap and then sort of get the ERS, turn it down a bit and then go again? Or do they just sort of manage it and have half for one lap, half for the next lap? What's that about?
Well, really, I think for qualifying, the main way to do it is to not use any of it on the outlaps. You have the full deployment and usage available for your quali lap. Although I think at some circuits, Bahrain possibly being one of them, and I think Australia is one as well, you do have to just manage it just a little bit, just so you have some left at the end of the lap to get that little bit of performance just towards the line. I did notice in Australia, the front runners were all running out of deployment on the exit at the last corner. They didn't get it all the way down to the start line, and it is very, very easy to run out if you don't keep an eye on it for your deployment for the lap. In, say, for the race though, you do have to manage it a lot more. You can't just go on straight onto the max ERS setting, because you will run out within 2 laps and spend about 6 laps trying to get it all back again.
Yellow flag already.
Something.
Not sure who, but there's a yellow flag out. Might be for a slow runner. Sorry.
I think it's just slow runners in general, but yeah, you do. Some people do have to be a little bit careful with it. It seems all the cars have the same ERS. It's not like what Cody's have done in the past by messing up equal performance, so that's a good thing at least. As your front runners just all starting their body laps now. Jake the first to set a time, it will look like. He's comes down towards the end of 6-1 now.
Let's follow him on a lap. So Jake
flat from 6-1.
How do you see these set times, by the way? Is there like a little start menu?
If you go to spectator menu, there's a telemetry and lap data thing. You can see the times like that. I'd say Jake is already 3/10 off VSR Josh through 6-1. 28 flat as against the 27.7. Softies also matched that 27.7 and 6-1. So the two title favourites again, very, very close in terms of performance, and it's going to be a tricky map to see how they do throughout the season. As Jake comes towards the end of sector 2 now, this right-hander here, you cannot touch that curb, it will just throw you clean off the road. As well, apparently he's done the 28.0 sector 2, it's just updated and gone for me. As VSR Josh runs a little wide into the second, into the back straight there, that might just cost him a little bit of time. As Jake into the last corner now, runs wide a little bit there himself as he comes onto the straight. I wonder if he's actually backed off a little bit there. Instead of 27.5, Josh has done a 26.6 and has taken pole position for that. As Owen's facing the wrong way, he's done exactly what I warned about, that inside curve. As Softy takes pole by 10.5 with 26.4, and the lap time's coming in very quickly here. Boffy's got it up in P3, that's a good lap for him there in the Haas. Phil in P4, going to P5, Jake down to 6th, Martin's crossed the line in 7th, Dan the man on the Super Softs is in 9th as Jack goes to P8. Phil is 4th on the soft tyre, that's very interesting.
That is very interesting. A fantastic lap from Phil as Softy. Now
takes P2.
Aiden's locked in behind him. A fantastic lap from the reigning TGP champion. Demon Ash is about to cross the start finish line. He'll be the last of runners from the first runs. I don't imagine it'll be quite high up. And nope, here he goes 10th. No offence to Ash Dawson, but he's struggling so far this season. Don't expect to see him near the front anytime soon. Owen spread debris all over the circuit with his instant. I think he just lost it on the inside curve, as you said. It's a tricky corner, that. James and Paul also haven't set laps yet. I think James is only going out now for his first run, so he's elected not to go out just yet. But Softy has the edge. Aiden in second, a fantastic lap from him. He's only a 10th off Softy. And Josh is a further 10th back in third, so the top 3. I mean, I expected 2 of those names, but Aiden maybe not so much.
Well, from the test races, if you remember, Aiden was looking very solid at times. He was towards the front in Spain. I think he was second quickest back there as well, but some guys don't really show their full hand there. They do tend to properly turn up for the first race session. As Demon Ash is out of the session. Annoyingly, unlike the last game, you can't see a car as soon as they've retired, but I'm assuming he's probably crashed it on the track rather than in the pit lane, as the front runners all just come, main guys all just coming in now at the end of their first qualifying runs. James has decided to go out in the gap. He's on the soft tyre as well, so it'll be interesting to see what he does compared to Phil in 5th, who is the lead soft tyre running car at the moment.
Yep, James O'Connor yet set a lap. He will be next, of course, the 6-time champion. These days finds himself fighting for podiums where he can. He had a good couple of pre-season test races as he pulls out the way of someone. Is there someone coming through on a lap there? Or is he just going a little wide? Not quite sure what that was about. But James looking for different lines, maybe experimenting a bit. Maybe he's twiggling with a few settings on the steering wheel and ended up going off the circuit. But he's about to start his lap. It should be a quick one from the Ferrari driver. Him and Dan didn't get off to the best start. In fact, James got a 5th place in Australia, so I'm sure he'll be happy with that result. A strong result, some great overtaking. Of course, he was involved in that 4-car fight with himself, Jake, Aiden and Josh as James starts his lap here at Bahrain. Deep into turn 1, very messy. Already a couple of tenths down, I'm sure. Not quite sure what Softy's first sector was. I'm not sure if you have that information, Johners.
James 27.7.
27.7, there's what to look out for. It's not been the best first sector for James. It's going to be a few tenths off at least, and it is 7 tenths off, so it's not going to be a challenge on the front, boys. He's going to need to get back into the garage. Of course, he is on the soft tyres, so he is expected to be a little bit down. And Softy's pace at Bahrain is frighteningly quick. 2 poles here in the last 4 seasons, so he is going to be one to watch, and he needs to fight back after Josh got that brilliant race win. A brilliant start to his season in Australia. So I think it's just James at the moment on our lap. A lot more drivers coming out for their outlaps. They'll be able to get 2 more runs in before the end of the session. Softy has also now gone out onto the track to start his next outlap. James hasn't had a great middle sector either. 28.4. He's going to need to pull it together for the final sector. Down the penultimate straight. He'll turn right here, he'll get back on the gas, but he may just come into the pit lane and get a fresh set of tyres. He might abandon this lap. Let's see what he does. In fact, yes, he does. He does exactly that. He'll come in, get some new tyres, and go again. Johners, who's looking hot out there?
Just having a look at Paul. He's obviously done what James has done and gone out in the gap, but he's on a flying lap. I think he's going to get bulked up by the Ferrari there with Dan the man, who, I don't know if he's just not seen him there. He's just sitting in front of him. Come on.
Oh, very naughty from down there. And look at all this traffic ahead for Paul. He's going to have so much traffic. Not the right time.
At the wrong time. You got Softy getting out of the way. Boffy to where he needs to go to the side of the track, and you realise the last minute and he decides to move. And then we've got another car up ahead. That's Aiden. Maybe a little bit of a cheeky slipstream down the back straight here from the Sauber as Paul comes towards the end of the second sector.
Very wide, very wide.
That's a big off.
Bollocks. I accidentally cut away. I do apologise.
He's done very well to keep that out of the wall. He's almost drifted it round into the last, second last corner there. But he has saved the car from any damage and he's backed it off. He'll be bringing that into the pits for sure. I think what he's done there is, I think he's overcorrected for the car going towards the curve. As both Saubers now coming to the pits, I think Aiden was indeed going to give his teammate a slipstream. Aiden was on the soft tyre there. So Sauber were trying to sink, and unfortunately for the Saubers, just a little mistake by Paul there, leading for a big spin and a very nearly a nasty crash. And he's now going to get held up in the pits as the front runners now start the lap. We've got Josh on the lap towards the end of sector 2 here as he comes towards the second last corner. And he's now down towards the main straight towards, well, I guess he's in the way. He's up to the last corner now, then onto the main straight as he comes round. He gets that ERS deployment, opens the DRS towards the line. Is it pole? It is again. Pole position for FSR Josh, a 126.299, nearly 2 tenths clear of his fairly title rival. Softy halfway through the lap as Jake now goes P4, nearly 6 tenths off the pole time.
Well, a fantastic lap. A fantastic lap from Josh there. He set the benchmark once again, 2 tenths quicker than Softy. Just when Softy maybe thought he had it this time, Josh goes 2 tenths quicker. Softy needs to respond now. There's a couple of cars ahead, but they shouldn't be too much problems for him. Aiden in the pit lane. Sorry for cutting away from Paul before. I accidentally dropped my pad in excitement at the crash, and then R2 was pressed, so it flicked to the next driver. But we saw the aftermath, and Paul was in the barriers. What can Softy do? On the back straight, can he respond to Josh's 126.2? He can. He goes quicker by another 10. Take that, Josh. Softy back in front. And I'll have 1 more runs to go. Softy ahead of Josh, ahead of Aiden, ahead of Jake. Jake, is he on a lap? He is. Let's see if he can respond to Softy's time. Jake, of course, champion, not last season, but the season before. Odem's the reigning champion, not here this season, unfortunately, with other commitments. So it's a shame not to see him back.
Yeah, Jake has backed off. I think he did just go 4th just a lap before, so I think this is his in lap. He's 6 seconds down at the end of sector 2 there. I think Boffy Dredder is the highest positioned car. That's currently on the lap. He's just in the middle of sector 2 now. Phil has backed off on his lap. He was going for a lap of the super softs, having done his first lap on the softs, but he's backed it off. Maybe he made a mistake, or maybe he's just deciding maybe to go on the alternate strategy for the race, as he just gets out of the way of offering to it. It looks like it might not get him up the field that much, but it will get him closer to the pack ahead. He's comes towards the last quarter now. He's very, very low on ERS. I think he might actually be on a second lap here, you know. And
he
decides to divert into the pit at the last second. He was improving though, so there's more time to come from that Haas as Phil comes in. You've got Jack on another lap. Dan is beginning a flying lap now, and I think Owen is coming towards the end of the lap now as well. Owen is a bit adrift of the rest of the field at the moment. We'll see what he does when he gets to the end of this lap as he comes towards the last quarter now. Runs a bit wide, does keep it on the track though. Some cars do run a bit wide over the curve onto the runoff there. As Owen comes across the line, improves but doesn't gain position. He's exactly 2 seconds off, give or take a thousandth down in top place. As Paul, I think, is about to begin a lap. We've got yellow flags out in sector 1 and 3. I think that's just for cars getting out of the way of each other. As Dan on a lap, he's down in sector 1 by a tenth and a half. As he comes towards the left hand, he's actually out of ERS as well, so I think that's going to be an in lap.
Unfortunately for Josh, he reported that he did lose it himself at the end of the last race, so there wasn't a contact from another car. He did lose it by himself, which is why he dropped down to, I think, 10th position in the end, behind Cam and Paul. So what looked like a possible podium is in the background. Dan's lost it, he's in the wall. He's binned it on his lap. Once again, that corner proven to be tricky. I don't know how he's kept all 4 wheels on the car, but Dan the man, straight into the barriers. He'll return to the pit lane and have another lap, but that is very lucky. He can't be doing that in the race. That corner is catching out a lot of drivers in qualifying, and I'm sure we're going to see an incident or two there. But Dan the man, he is having a terrible start to the season. He's had 58 race wins, but unfortunately, as I said before, PS4 era hasn't been so kind to him. So who else is out on a lap then? Jack Pearson looks to be on one. Corey down in 9th position, he'll hope to get maybe a top 5, maybe sneak in there. Goings, who he beat last season in TGP2, is currently in 5th, so he'll fancy his chances against him. Bothy Dweller in 6th at the moment, good to see. Phil Bardwell in 7th, it's been, again, also a poor start to the season for him. High hopes for Phil. Jack Pearson though.
I'm going to have to interrupt you here, sorry. We've just got Paul on the end of the lap now. He's been given the toe again, so Sauber definitely were trying to give the slipstream to each of their drivers as Paul comes across the line now and goes P4 right up to second row of the grid. It's an all Sauber second row then. Paul goes up to 4th position, just behind his teammate who is now coming to the pit. So definitely we're trying to find some pace with the slipstream there, and it seems to have worked a treat for the second Sauber as Paul joins his teammate on the front row of the grid, the second row of the grid.
Jack Pearson at the final corner goes wide. Will they have lost him time? I imagine it will have, but he goes 6th. A great lap from Jack. So he did lose a bit of time, I think, at the end. Could have put him in 5th had it not been for that. Maybe ahead of Paul as well. It's also tightly around there. 126.8, 126.8, 126.9. Only a few hundreds ahead of Goings as well, so it's all very close out there. I'm not sure Jack will get back in time for another run. I think that'll be it, unless he preserves the preserves the tyres, and goes again for one final hot lap. But VSR, Josh and Softy should both be leaving the pit soon as they attempt their final runs, as we get to see round 3 of this battle between the two heavyweights of TGP1. The two Saubers, fantastic in 3rd and 4th, working their team tactics very well there. You saying that Aiden gave a toe to Paul on the back straight, was that right, Jonas?
Yeah, definitely on the back straight here. Aiden was on the soft tyre and was just in front of him, just coming onto the, like, decently far enough ahead on the through the corners to be close enough on the back straight to give the slipstream. As soon as Paul caught the back of him, Aiden moved to the side, let his teammate go. His teammate completes the lap and he dived into the pit. We now have Jake coming towards the end of his lap, coming to the last corner now. Looks like he's pushing hard this lap, runs a little bit wide in the exit, but he will now hit the DRS, get it across the line, and he goes P4. He takes that 4th position back and is just under a 10th off Aiden in 3rd. As I think we also have now Phil on a lap in 9th place. Remember, his best lap so far is on the soft tyre, he's now on the super soft.
He is P9 at the moment, looking to go improve on that lap time. A lot of drivers now out on their laps. Phil Bardwell round the final corner as Jake's retired from the session, so he's not going to go higher than 4th. I think he didn't have enough time anyway to get back to the pits. So that's probably him calling it quits. He'll be happy with top 4 if it stays that way, but Paul and Jack will all try to go quicker. Phil goes 6th, so he slots in between Paul and Jack. And only just look at the gap still. He goes a 100th ahead of Jack, who is only a few hundredths ahead of going. So Phil into P6, so that's where he'll start, unless the drivers behind can improve. Will Paul give Aiden a slipstream? I don't think he'll be able to now. BSR Josh.
I think Phil might be very disappointed with that. Sorry, he was 9th on a 27.1. He's only gained 2 tenths on the super soft tyre as opposed to his lap on the soft tyre, so I think he'll be a bit disappointed with that. I think he would have been looking for more. He maybe third was on the table there for him, as Aiden, I think, now starts his final flying lap with 50 seconds to go. We also have Josh, I believe, in sector 1 possibly at the moment.
Yeah. There's a Force India off in the background. I think that might be Owen.
That's Owen. That's Owen again. That's the second time this session as he now retires. You got James just readying up for a lap. Softy begins his final lap. Josh, midway through the lap, I think he's on another 27.7, in sector 1, so his match was his best.
That's good.
Aiden on the lap here. Aiden's 27.9, he's 2 tenths down in sector 1. The front 2 have definitely got an advantage in that first sector from what the 6 times I've shown so far this session. Josh coming towards the end of the back straight, through the long left-hander into the long right-hander. Do you know what? Oh no, that's Phil. So I thought for a minute Haas were going to do the slipstream game as well, but that was the wrong car, as Josh runs a little wide again into that second last corner. Goes down the back straight now before the last corner. Needs to get this perfect. He needs to fight every single thousandth he can get against Softy. He needs to beat him if he wants to get pole. He gets DRS open now. Comes to the line.
He's not done it.
He doesn't do it.
He's not done it.
He's improved, but he's not gained position. He did a weird jolt to the side of the track at the last second, which seemed really peculiar.
Yeah, I don't know what that was about.
He seemed to wiggle. He just seemed to jolt right. I don't know if he backed off on throttle or anything. Aiden has backed off entirely. He's done. He's third. I think he's actually done the slipstream again for Paul. No, sorry, that wasn't Paul. I don't know who that was. Is that for Softy?
So this is just Softy going for glory. He doesn't improve, but he will be on pole position. He's done what he needed to do. Josh did not go faster on that final lap. And again, yeah, he did do a jolt to the side of the track, which I'm not sure what that was about. But Paul is 5th.
Takes P7.
Bothy Dweller goes P7. I think that's it now. I think only Martin is left on a lap. Can he improve?
James is coming across the line now. He's backed it off. James backed it off. He's gone. Ew, okay. I know what James is planning there. He's gone P12.
He wants a fresh set of tyres, doesn't he?
He wants a fresh set of tyres. He's done it. He's ahead of Demon Ash by 1,000th as Martin goes P11.
Well then, so Softy bites back after Josh's success in Australia, and it's now Softy's 3rd pole in 5 races at Bahrain. This is a track he does really well at. Won here a few times in the past as well. And wow, what a response to Josh. Josh thought he might have had it in the bag after Australia, but Softy goes a 10th quicker in qualifying here at Bahrain, and Aiden, the reigning TGP2 champion, is going to start on the 2nd row alongside a former champion Jake. Paul and Phil in the 3rd row, and Jack Pearson will be got to be down in 9th. James down in 12th, but as you said, John, I think that was deliberate to get a fresh set of tyres, you think?
Yeah, indeed. Look how close that is between 6th and 10th. Half a tenth. 7th, 8th and 9th are separated by 3 thousandths of a second. Bothy Dweller, Dan the Man and Jack Pearson. That is just incredible stuff. So close and competitive in the main field this season. It's brilliant to see as we now get ready for the race.
Well, the Australian Grand Prix was a nice one. We saw a great battle at the front, a great battle, an even greater one further down between 4 more drivers for 4th. If we can get a few more in this race, I will be happy. So, who's your money on? Softy or Josh, Jonas?
Honestly, I think it's too close to call, but Softy does love this place. He loves this circuit. He has gone very well here in the past, but Bahrain does throw up some crazy races. Just think back to the final week at TGP2 last season, where it just went mental. It was just incredible fights all the way through the field. So this circuit does produce some special racing. I'm sure we're going to see another one here this evening as we now get ready for the race.
Well, here we go then. The grid should be set any moment as the drivers prepare to go racing once again. And here we go. We're all in place now. It's round 2 of the season. We're at Bahrain. Softy on pole. And it's lights out. Away we go. And Dan the Man's had a jump start. You can see in the front in the background, as the second has. I'm not sure who that was. I think it's Cameron Hall. Softy then is down a second already, but of course Cameron Hall will have a drive-through penalty. It's Softy against Josh for second position, which is a net lead really. Josh is squeezed out, but he's still in there. The McLaren behind, the Sauber behind, all of them getting so close. And Jack Pearson already a casualty from this race. Softy though,
contact,
crucially,
Jack and Owen, both.
you can see a Force India in the background, but Softy crucially ahead of Josh. Jake also getting in there. He's ahead of Aiden for now. Not a great start for Aiden. Bothy Dweller will, of course, have a drive-through penalty for that jump start. Dan the Man did the same, so I don't know what that was about. Maybe the lights were there for a long time.
I think Bothy Dweller reacted first and Jan reacted to him rather than the lights, so shame for both of them. Bothy Dweller, I think what the rule is, you're actually meant to just back it off if you do jump the start and sit there, but he decided to just go full beans on it. I mean, he's out of the way at least. He will come into the pit and won't affect the race too much, but he probably should have backed off.
I wonder, John.
Dan did it.
I wonder, will Bothy Dweller stay out to help his teammate Josh close in on Softy? The gap's already pretty close, of course there's 4 tenths between them, but by Bothy Dweller staying out, that could help Josh as Softy gets behind and heated. But will Bothy Dweller then come in this lap, or will he stay out? Although Softy's a second back, so he's not exactly close to him. Let's see what he does this time round. He's going to stay out, I think. He does. He stays out. So maybe that's good news for Josh, who might even be ahead of Softy going into turn 1. Because look at this. Already, with the slipstream, a great run. Can he go into turn 1? Softy already defending the inside line. He breaks later, but Softy still just about holds position and stays in second position. Where's Jake behind these two? Softy's all over the place. Another chance then for Josh to get back ahead of the Renault driver. It's been a great start to the race already. We've got battles further down, but we'll concentrate on this one for now. Softy just about stays in front. They can't make contact. They don't make contact. And behind them is Sauber and McLaren of Jake and Paul fighting.
Jake and Aiden, sorry. They actually grabbed wheels coming out of to the end of the first sector there, and meanwhile Phil's held station off the line. He's had both Saubers with a bad start,
contact.
I have to say.
I think Josh might have damage.
3 of them.
I think Josh might have damage, and Jake's going to go through into second position. It looks like some front wing damage for Josh. I think he hit the back of Softy in the braking zone.
I think he's been caught. Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think Softy's really struggling under braking there. He's really slow in the corners compared to everyone else. And there we go. Yeah, definite damage for the Haas as Aiden goes through. Phil's got to go around the outside. Paul's going to have a look as well. Josh, no, you can't. Without
a front wing, you can't afford to be going deep into that corner. And already Josh down in 6th position. So Softy's struggling. There's a safety car. And has that potentially just given the race win to Josh? Because now Josh is going to get a pretty much, well, he's going to gain from the pit stop. If Softy chooses to stay out, Softy's in 10th. Softy's in 10th, I didn't see that.
What's happened there?
Softy's at the back. So
he must have gone clean off the road.
So Aiden leads the race, and can you make a drive-through under the virtual safety car? Does Bothy Dweller have to stay out?
You cannot, no. But yeah, you're right, PSR Josh is in the pit, but I think it just ended. The race is back on, we're under green. It's not going to be a free pit stop.
Oh, that's just helped Softy out then, who down in 9th position. I didn't see what happened there. We were too busy concentrating on Josh dropping places. Softy was at the back himself. So now we've got Aiden then in the net lead. In fact, he's 3 seconds behind Bothy Dweller. He's flying out there.
I'm wondering, my question is, did Softy lose on that curb? Could it be possible that he lost it there? Because I didn't even see him go off. I saw Josh, PSR Josh struggling. The next thing I know, Aiden's lead. Well, Aiden's got the net lead. It's now what will technically be Aiden from Jake from Phil. So Phil, well, it turns out he did improve at the end of qualifying, so he was on the Superstars. We've got Paul in the net 4th, then Martin in 5th, James up to 6th from 12th, remember. Well, net 6th from 12th on the soft tyre, so James is in a good position here for when the
more yellow flags out there, so something else has happened again. I think Dan the Man's had some issues. He's down to 11th now.
Yeah.
Maybe he had a spin, or maybe Josh has just got through. But Dan the Man...
Josh is through, 3 seconds ahead. And we've got Goings towards the back as well, I think, is also pitted. We'll have a look at the stops. Yep, Goings and Josh are the only two yet to pit.
Bothy Dweller
at the moment
is going to serve his drive through, and Jake comes into the pit lane, so Aiden will continue to lead. Bartley with the fastest lap, a 1:31.3. I don't know which way his race is going to go. I don't think so. Oh, does he?
No, Jake's
I don't think he's pitting. It's an early pit stop.
That's interesting if he's pitting. No, it's a pit stop.
Is that too early, do you think?
That's far too early, unless you're going on to the... Oh, okay, he's on the soft tyre. I think that's too early.
Is he going to be ahead of Bothy Dweller? Sorry, VSR Josh, I think he will be.
VSR Josh is coming onto the main straight now. As Jake comes out the pits.
He will be ahead.
Yeah. The VSC ended at the worst time for Josh. Yeah, that is Josh.
He's still in this race though, with Jake's really on net leader.
Jake's already at turn 2. Josh is on the brakes now.
Also elected. Soft tires for Josh too then. Down the mountain in the pit lane.
7 seconds down, so he's sort of... Well, that would be about where Softy is actually, so that could be interesting. Does Softy have damage, I wonder?
Well...
The annoying thing is, with the new Halo, you can't actually quite see the front wing, so you don't know if the car has got damage or not from the onboard cameras. You have to kind of spot it from other cars or on onboards that are not so far away from the cars. As Martin's having a look at the back of Phil now. We've got Aiden, it's a Sauber one too, so yellow flags are out.
Softy's in the wars again. Softy's in the wars again, and he's facing the wrong way. What's going on? The two favourites going into this race are having a nightmare start. It's a Sauber 1-2 at the front, by the way, which is quite amazing.
Paul with the fastest lap as well, 1:30.3, just after Aiden set a 1:30.7. The Bobby doing it down the inside of Softy for 7th, but backs out of it at the last moment. VSR Josh is 6 seconds down on Jake, who Softy pits.
Softy in the pit lane then.
I don't think he got damage though from either of his spins.
It's been a disastrous race for him, hasn't it?
Yeah,
horrendous start.
Got nothing like I thought this race would, as Josh sets an almighty fastest lap, a second quicker than what Paul's done. So,
already, he's taken a second out of Jake ahead. He's only 6 seconds off the race lead here, Josh. This is not over for him. A podium's a very realistic chance still. And who knows, maybe the race win. We saw the pace he can set in Australia. And if these guys at the front keep backing each other up, they're going to find themselves potentially in threat from Josh when they make their pit stops, which could be this or next lap. We're going to see now. But it is a Sauber 1-2. Phil's in 3rd, Martin 4th, and James again in that 5th position that he seems to be becoming accustomed to. Bothy Dweller down to 7th after his drive-through. He's still going to have to pit for a new set of tyres. Jake, the first of the runners to have made their pit stop. He's in 8th, ahead of Josh. The gap's down to less than 6 seconds now. So Josh is flying out there as Phil goes off the circuit. And will we see any of the top 4 cars now come into the pit lane to change for a set of soft tyres? Aiden and Paul, of course, they both can't pit this lap. So I expect to see one maybe coming then. And it's going to be Paul because Aiden stays out and Phil's going to respond. But Paul, I think he's made a bit of mind games there. Wasn't making it obvious he was going to pit. Martin stays out. And let's see if Phil and Paul, we've got the better pit crew. Can Phil potentially jump Paul here? Because of course Phil's going to be in first. He goes on to those soft tyres as Paul still continues to drive down. You're going to keep an eye on Josh there?
Jake and Josh. Jake's already on the start line. He's already crossing the finish line now.
Can Jake do it when he comes out ahead of the pair of them? He is.
Yeah, he's ahead of him. What about the finish on Josh? It's going to be very close. Well, not as close as I thought. He's comfortably behind. It's the two of them. Come back onto the circuit uptown line. I'd say he's about 2 seconds clear, Phil.
I think Jake then. Jake's going to be ahead of Aiden, I think, because he's 3 seconds clear of Paul.
It's worked well, but the only thing is, will it come back to biting towards the end of the race? It's worth pointing out Paul is on the medium tyre as well.
Okay then, so Paul going for a different strategy if that is the case. But as you said, Jake could have tyres that come to haunt him towards the end of the race, as we saw with Josh in Australia. Phil's all over Paul, and further ahead we've got James all over mine. Will these two now make their pit stops? James is on the soft tyre, so he should stay out a little longer. He'll go onto the super softs a little later on, maybe around lap 8 or 9. Aiden might use this chance to make his stop of the race and come with the soft tyres. He should dive in this lap. He's got to respond, hasn't he, because Jake is flying out there.
Yeah, you have to respond to that. The undercut definitely having a big effect here as Martin also comes into the pit. And James in the Ferrari leads the Bahrain Grand Prix from what will be Dean Ash, who's on a complete different strategy to everyone because he started on the medium tyres. So we got both cars in the pits. What's going on there with Martin's car? I think that was just the pit crew animated shouldn't go a bit weird there. As Aiden hits the pit limiter now, and Jake is in front. Where
Jake is easily in front.
The battle behind. Look at this! Look at this! Look at Phil down the inside. He used. It's Hakkinen-esque. It's Hakkinen Spa 2000-esque. There's a slow car coming out the pit. Paul on one side, Phil on the other, down the inside, and both of them, and takes what will be a net P3. That was a beautiful move. Sadly, I only caught it in the background there, but it was brilliant stuff there from Phil to take that position. And Martin comes out in P7. 4P6, fill up to P5, and Aiden 2 seconds off Jake.
Josh on Martin
is the net leader.
Josh on Martin already back in this race. He is a threat again for the win. These cars in front aren't flying away from him. Josh has been able to claw back the time already that he lost at the start of the race. Now in PA, of course, cars ahead still have to pit. Ash still has to pit. James still has to pit. Both of them will come out behind these pair. So, Josh is still a threat, I think. And Aiden is 2 seconds off Jake. So Jake has to be the favourite for this race. You'd think, Jonathan?
You'd think so, and I can tell you they are quickly catching up on the back of Demon Ash. The gap's really dropped below 10 seconds. But I can't believe how quickly Josh has actually caught up. The gap between him and Jake, I think, is actually still about 5 seconds. It's not gained that much as Jack has left. Jack Pearson out in lap 1 has now left the session. But we've just got a good gaggle of cars on the straight here all together. 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th all together on the track, as Josh is now getting a run on Martin for what would be P7. He's going deep down the inside from far back. Martin leaves the space, but Martin just has enough traction to get away and keep that position. It's worth pointing out Martin on far pressure tyres. Although, that's not stopping Josh as he goes down the inside and takes the position. And Martin gets him with the cutback actually.
Brilliant stuff.
Brilliant stuff here from both the guys there. As Martin holds on to 7th position, holds Josh up just that little bit, and meanwhile Aiden starting to close in on Jake in 3rd. Here he's quickly closing on Demon Ash in 2nd position. Although meanwhile still out in front, comfortably going round is James O'Connor in the Ferrari with a near 10-second lead now, as he will shortly be pitting for what will be the Super Soft tyres. He'll be the only one of 2 guys in the field that will be able to be on them at the latter stages of the race. Meanwhile, Paul now back in DRS territory of Phil. We have Martin and Josh still together, both of them take the interesting line there through the second last corner as Josh powers up the ERS, gets the slipstream, might have a look into the last corner but decides against it because he will have DRS on the back straight. And here we now go. He's got a good run out the final corner. The DRS is wide open. He gets the run, has a look at the inside, and that is a very easy move indeed as Demon Ash pits from what was 2nd place. Josh takes what is now P6. Martin not run just yet though. Having a look, maybe having a run down here. He's got the ERS advantage over VSR Josh. Josh having to save a little bit after his attack. Martin has a look on the outside. I think he's gone for the wrong side there, but he's going for that cutback again. That served him so well, and the superior grip on the fresher tyres has helped him as he tries to make the move, but Josh just firmly holding on there and keeps that 6th position. While meanwhile, Aiden now within a second of Jake, which is what is for the net lead, although it's worth pointing out an 18-second gap between James, who's currently in the lead, and Jake in P2. I think we might have lost our co-commentator there, and don't think he's here. So we'll keep on board with Aiden for B anyway, as he closes towards the back of the McLaren on fresher who's on 3-lap holder tyres compared to Aiden in the Sauber, as the leader now pits, and this will surely be for the super soft tyres. And there we go, the red shodded Pirelli's on that Ferrari as he comes down the pits. He's already left his box on the way down. We've got the yellow flag out. Dan the man, the other Ferrari is off up the back of the field. And that is a disastrous race continuing for him. James down to 3rd, hits that pit lane line now. He'll get on the power. He's going to come out just ahead of VSR Josh. Yes, James in P5 and not that far off P4. And P3. James has slotted in perfectly ahead of the championship leader in P5, and he is going to be able to fully attack. He's got a healthy lot of DRS, and he's got a lot of ground to make up, but the right tyres to do it, as we've got yellow flags out for Goings and Dan's in the wall. Goings out the race. I think that's separate incidents though. Dan has lost a lot of his front wing. Goings completely out the race. Perfect weather in P10 now, ahead of Demon Ash, behind Demon Ash and Softy. We've got Martin in 7th, VSR Josh in 6th, James in 5th, having a look already on Paul in 4th.
Look at this. This is the top 7 you can see on your screen, all of them. They're all so close. Jake, as we see him move here from the
James
Ferrari.
on the inside. Oh, it's a
former
firm move,
teammates.
but it's a fair one.
He's into 4th position. What a move there. Former teammates from last season. And James is into 4th position. Phil then 2 seconds back from this front two here. Jake and Aiden are fine for the win. Josh in 6th. He could also win this. Do not count any of these out. It's going to be an ecstatic final 5 laps here. Jake is for now holding on.
I'll tell you what, if Jake and Aiden start scrapping, I am willing to put my money on James taking a win here. He's flying. He's on the faster tyre. He's got the freshest tyre in the field.
Josh on Paul. And Josh is through, I think, round the outside. Paul can't do much about that. Although Paul comes back up the inside again and gets the position back. Paul does hold on for 5th. I'm sorry. Paul did. He did not let that go, and he goes back into P5. Brilliant defender.
Stephen Ash having a look at the inside, on the outside of Softcop. That's not something I thought I'd be saying today. There's a little bit of contact into turn 1. Softy holds on to PA. We've got Boffy join on the back as well, so the fight for 8 still going strong. James, though, is just absolutely flying right now as Aiden and Jake are within half a second at the lead. Stephen Ash is up to 8th, or is he? They're side by side.
Ooh.
The Toro Rosso, the Renault, wheel banging. Softy trying to hold on to position. Ash has cut the circuit and he's lost it and falling down to 10th.
And now Softy's lost the position to Bothy Dweller, who's gone past the both of them.
Yeah. Beautiful stuff there. Nicely done. Boffy Dweller making the most of a messy situation there to take the position as James in 4th now. As Softy's now up to 9th and Boffy Dweller.
These 3 are scrapping. They're still scrapping. This is a great little battle going on. We're going to have to cut away in a moment because there's more important battles going up on the field.
We've got fights for the lead, we've got fights for 3rd, we've got fight for 5th. It's all kicking off here in the last few laps in Bahrain. I tell you, it brings up some good racing. It has done it yet again. Jake is definitely struggling now, though. The good news for him, though, he's got that EOS advantage over Aiden. But he hasn't got the tyres. His tyres are 3 laps older. He's gonna have a look. Aiden's going for the outside as James sets the fastest lap of the race. And Aiden, he's had the lead. There's a little bit of contact between the two. Jake tries to hold on, and he will be side by side still towards what is turn 4. So close together as James now up to P3 ahead of Phil, and the 2 leads are going together.
Jake's gone wide.
Aiden up the inside.
Aiden's through for now, and James actually said into 3rd position ahead of Phil. So could James still win this? I think you're right, Jonas. He's going to have a great chance.
Is Jake going to have a look at the inside? He doesn't think about it there. Remember, Jake has ERS advantage. He's got about 20% more ERS.
Paul's made contact with Josh. They're both off. They're both off. Paul and Josh are both off.
Oh!
Huge drama.
Oh, my. Paul looks to have no damage. Josh has got major front wing damage, and he's also running low on fuel, according to my thingy here. Boffy Dweller now on the back of that. Boffy Dweller, despite the jump start, could be looking at a decent point.
It's all going on. It's the battle for the lead.
Together.
I don't know which battle to follow. Obviously, we've got to go for the one in the front. It's Aiden and Jake. This isn't over yet. You would have thought Aiden would have pulled clear with those fresher tyres. But now Jake's coming straight back at him. And now Jake's all over Aiden. And James is now just 2 seconds behind. There's going to be 2 laps to go. Any one of these drivers could win the race. Phil in 4th. I think it's between the top 4 now.
Yeah, Phil is being towed along nicely by the Ferrari, Phil.
Bothy Dweller spun.
Even though he's nice. Oh no. Paul's...
And Josh is out the race.
Josh is out the race. My word, this is drama. Softy's up to P7 now. Boffy Dweller 6, Softy up to 7, Paul down in 8, Demon Ash is down to 9.
Jake leads.
And Dan, you know what? Dan's having a look at bars in Martin. It's all kicking off. Jake back in the lead. James is catching up quickly. We're on the 2nd to last lap now of this race. It's flown by. Is Aiden going to have a look here? Aiden's ERS deployment here. He's got a good healthy advantage over Aiden there.
Well,
There's only got 10 cars left of the race. Paul's coming to the pits. I think there's a lot of damage to that car. Ash still in Boffy Dweller, Softy and Demon Ash still all together on circuit. Then you've got Martin, who seems to be scrapping with... Oh, Danaman's gone. Danaman's out of the race. James is back off the 2 leaders now. Here we go then.
It's going to be an amazing final lap between these 3, Jake, Aiden and James. Which one of these 3 are going to win the race? And then there's Phil not too far behind them 3 as well. So any one of these 4 could win this. Martin's in 5th now after all that drama. Bothy Dweller's in 6th. He's recovered from that drive-through. Softy back into 7th. He can't believe his luck. Josh has retired. As has Dan, Goings, Owen and Jack. It's been a crazy final few laps. But the battle has to be this front 4. Look at them all. As Aiden goes for a move on Jake again.
I think he's just lining him up a bit, working out where to use the, where he's strong, where he's weak, as he's come onto the main straight to begin. The last lap of the race. Aiden's got to run. DRS is open. Both of them using high-level ERS. Aiden's about to run out of ERS, but that's not going to stop him making a move up the inside. He goes up the inside. They're side by side. There's contact. James is sitting nicely. He's having a look. He's gone up the inside. He's taken one. He's taken the other. James
Surely not.
leads. That's a fucking brilliant. Oh, excuse my language. That is an amazing move for the lead, but they're still going side by side. James has got it. James takes the lead in the Ferrari on the last lap of the race. Beautiful stuff. He's just waited, bided his time for the two cars in front and taken the move. Aiden's going to have a look at the inside though, and he might take it back. There's contact. Oh.
Aiden dives his way up the inside.
Let it go.
Look at this four. Amazing. Any one of these four can win the race. There's half a lap to go. Who's it going to be? Aiden, James, right Jake, Phil. Aiden for now has the advantage, but James on fresher tyres, on quicker tyres. Can he get the move
with
done?
DRS.
Look at this. Round the outside.
He's gone right round the outside. Can he hold it?
Surely not. This is fantastic stuff. Please keep it clean, boys. James will look now for the inside line as he goes into this penultimate corner. And he's done it. He's through again. Aiden will try to fight back. They make slight contact. And now Jake's going to go through on Aiden. Who's going to win this race?
He's not even going to be on the podium. Phil's got up the inside.
Phil could steal it. Phil's in the third now.
Aiden's run out of power. He's run out of VRS. Jake's having a look. It's going to the line. I think James has done it. It's James O'Connor with the win for Ferrari. Jake takes second. Phil third. Aiden fourth. Then we're going to have Martin come home in fifth. Just ahead of Buff. Oh.
Well, what a race. I did not predict that top three.
Softy down in seventh. Ash Dawson takes a good 8th place, a good result for him. Paul will bring home the field in 9th. And that is a superb victory on the alternate strategy for James O'Connor by a 10th of a second from Jake. The top 4 separated by less than a second, I believe. I'll just wait for the party invite there to clear. 8 tenths separate the top 4. What a win.
Absolutely fantastic there. What a race. The top 4 of James, Jake, Aiden and Phil gave us an almighty finish towards the end. Imagine if Thingy was still there. Josh and Softy with incident at the start of the race. I don't know if it was together. They did make contact at one point, which did give Josh damage, and maybe that's what gave Softy a bit of damage too. But wow, what a race. It's going to be James back on the top step of the podium. He gets yet another race win. I think that's his 69th race win, which puts him, I think, 4 clear now at the top, ahead of Ben. Not seen that face on the top of the step for quite a while, but look at that. What a race. Phil to snatch third at the end. Aiden's going to be well gutted to miss out on a podium there. On the last lap, look like he was going to win the race. But wow, what a race that was, Johners. That's just thumped Australia. I cannot wait for next week.
That has just shown how close and competitive this league is. The top 4 within a second. Overtakes galore on the last lap for the win. But here we go then. Dom, if you do the honours of showing the final order.
Well, James has come out on top. He started from 12th on the grid. John said in qualifying he backed off deliberately to get a good set of tyres, and that might have been the perfect strategy because he's won it. What a race. Jake's in second, Phil third. A fantastic podium for him. Aiden will be gutted with 4th, Martin 5th, Bothydwell 6th, recovered after that drive-through penalty. Softy 7th, but with where Josh finished, I don't think Softy will mind that too much now. Ash 8th, Paul 9th, and Josh in 10th. And I believe that our new championship leader might well be James. I think he sits at the top with 35 points. So wow, I didn't expect that going into tonight, but what a race. What an evening of racing in TGP1. Woo, Johners, how do you sum that up?
I don't know. That was incredible stuff.
Absolutely fantastic. James then, I believe, has got the championship lead with 35 points, a 5th place in Australia, and of course the win in Bahrain. What a fantastic achievement for him. He said in the pre-season test races that he won't be on the podium often this season, but he's gone in round 2 and taken the win. Wow, what a night. Pick out a key moment from that race, Johners.
Oh my, there's so many to choose from. There was obviously the VSC that led to just things opening up. You could even go as far back as qualifying, the decision James made to back off at the last minute just to get the free choice of tyres. That worked perfectly, alternate strategy. He was so much quicker on the last few laps compared to the cars around him that had been on old prime tyres. It seems that strategy really does work on this game, and yeah, it's something James did utilise a lot back on F1 2017, but it really seems to work a lot better on this game. Wow, what a race.
What a race, what an evening, what a start to the season. It's our 30th season, our 50th season on F1 Games, and wow, what a start it's been. And next week we're back, October the 9th, mark your diaries, China and Azerbaijan. We'll see you all then. From me and Johners, goodbye and thank you for watching.